So the big question, the $1 trillion question is what will be the way that humans interface with the internet? Because 2 or 3 things are pretty clear. One, the number of these agents is going to increase exponentially, and it will be exponentially more agents than people across the internet. That will be clear already. All of the groundwork for the internet of value, if you will, has already been laid before we had these fully autonomous agents, meaning the ability to create code, the ability to create fully decentralized and open source markets, and you have the money itself in the form of the crypto. So there will be some proportion of agents who, I hate to use this analogy of like organisms, but it's going to be something like organisms that trade on markets to survive and reproduce in this weird way, right? Like you can imagine there is certainly an allegory to simulations of all kinds of biological simulations, what have you, where, there will be algorithms where if they are smart enough to trade, make enough money to propagate themselves and pay for their own cloud compute costs, then theoretically they are ROI positive to have on with no opportunity cost because they are ROI positive and you can spin up more and more of them. So it's going to get weird to say the least. So that's one dimension. The other dimension is there have already been some cool innovations on OpenClaw. Somebody built out, I think it was called MiniClaw or NanoClaw. They re-implemented it in Go, which is a faster programming language, and it was able to run with a lot less memory. So you could run that, you could run a similar LLM using, I'm just going to call it MiniClaw. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. The concept is the same, right? It's just a dumber model if you're running it on smaller hardware. There's already a lot of open source models, so you can already, right now, everybody's buying Mac Minis. I don't know that that's going to be the final place where they sit, but at least right now, it looks like if you're worried about your data, if you're worried about access, the models sit behind the true interface, which you get to choose, which is Telegram, Slack, WhatsApp, whatever. So now the question is, I go into WhatsApp, I can either configure it or I just pick. Maybe I have an OpenClaw set up on my Mac Mini at home and that one has access to my bank account or whatever. And that Mac Mini is like a really beefy one that I paid $3,000 one time for. And it's just running OpenClaw inside my house. That model, that is one path that you can go. And then the other path you can go, which I've done one of them, I haven't gotten the Mac Mini yet, is you go on AWS and you say, all right, I just want a Linux machine. I provision it up, I put OpenClaw on it, and then I make sure I hook it up and boom, I can use OpenClaw on a machine that I'm renting. Now, renting the machine is going to turn out to be more expensive net, especially if you want to do more complex stuff, because renting nicer machines on AWS can get up to like, $100 to $300 a month, whatever. So probably more people will go about this by buying cheaper or less expensive computers and then setting up these bots on those machines. You run those on those machines and it's just a question of, okay, now I'm going to provision like 20 or 30 of these bots. Where it doesn't work well, like I was saying earlier, is having one bot that kind of does everything. In my experience so far, and from what I know about LLMs, that's probably not going to work too well. What will work well is I'm going to set up multiple personas or profiles or agents. And the idea is like, I'm going to have one agent that knows how to send emails for me. And that's going to be my like personal David. That one can go and read my own emails, reply to people for me, but all it does is email and maybe calendar.
There's another this idea, David. We got to do this. So basically it's, instead of people going out there and buying these $3,000 machines and then to like get into like basically coding, but like support from an AI to code. And then you run into all sorts of issues with like API keys. You don't know what that is. You're researching this and that, and it gets really hairy and complicated. And you're like, I give up, and I, walk away, and you're frustrated. So that's the problem. The solution is we sell one agent. Okay. It's a box you buy for $5,000. And then we literally send it to you. And then there's just one interface that opens up and it asks you questions and you just speak to it. It asks you your name, where you grew up, what your address is, your family. And then as personal as we want to make it, you do like a 30-minute interview with this thing. And then it becomes your assistant to do anything. Because now you've given it access to everything. You've signed a bunch of disclaimers. And for $5,000, you can have this agent that just works for you to do whatever you want.